What's going on YouTube? In this video, we're going to be taking a look at a set of Kaynes locking tuners from AliExpress. I'm going to be installing these locking tuners onto a Jackson Kelly JS32. What I'm going to do now is a quick unboxing and give you an idea of what you can expect if you purchase these. Let's dive in. Alright, so at first glance, these tuners seem pretty solid. I'm hoping I'll be able to install these into the Jackson Kelly without having to make any modifications to the guitar. So what I'm going to do now is get the guitar up on the bench, get the old tuners removed, and let's see if we can get these installed. You want to be careful when doing this not to damage any of the existing tuners in the off chance that for one reason or another you're not happy with the new tuners, perhaps they don't fit properly, whatever the case may be, that you can still go back to the old ones. So we're still going to be careful in taking these off. Alright, so we're going to start by removing the small screws on the back of the tuners. It's fairly simple to do. The only advice I would give you here is to make sure that you have a small screwdriver that actually fits the head of these small screws, because you don't want to end up stripping them out. Alright, so the next step is to begin loosening the nut on the tuners themselves. The wrench that I had here actually was the wrong size. It was a size too large. I was still able to get them loosened because they weren't really tightened down to begin with. But for reference, what you will need is a 10mm wrench. Might as well give the area a quick cleaning while you have the tuners off and have the opportunity. Alright, so now we're at the point where we're going to install the tuners into the back of the headstock. You pretty much just have to line it up with the screw hole and make sure that it's flush with the back side of the headstock. These were a little tight going in, but that's kind of to be expected. It ended up being a good fitment, and I didn't have to make any modifications to this guitar whatsoever. Friendly reminder when putting these screws in not to screw them in too tight. You don't want to strip the heads out on these, and they can strip really easily. So make sure you're using the right size screwdriver and be careful when screwing them in. Alright, so from here we're just going to be putting the nut on the front side of the tuners. Again, really straightforward and simple. You just want to hand tighten it down as much as you can before you take a wrench to it. Alright, so we've tightened everything down as much as we can. From here, all that's left to do is a final tightening and we're ready to rock. So I found the correct size wrench. It is the 10mm here, and we're going to use that to tighten down the nut on the top of the tuner. Again, too, here you want to be careful not to scratch the tuner, so you're going to go nice and easy. And take your time here, make sure they're tight, and you'll be good to go. Alright, if you made it this far and you didn't know what's awesome about these type of tuners, is all you have to do is simply pull the string through, tighten down on the back side of the locking tuner, and now the string is held in place. Alright, so essentially you can cut it here and then just tune it up. Now why this is important is the string itself is not wrapping around the post. So if you bend heavily or frequently, or you dive really hard with the whammy bar, you don't have to worry about the string unraveling just a little bit around that post, causing tuning instability. So aside from making the guitar easier to string itself, they do actually serve a functional purpose. Alright, so after having these tuners on the guitar for about a week, here's what I can tell you so far. The positives. I mean, let's be real for a minute. $25 for a set of tuners. It doesn't really get much cheaper than that. But it's all for naught if they're garbage. The good news is these tuners aren't. They actually performed quite well from what I can see. I've had them on the guitar now for about a week. Played for about 10 hours on this guitar, and I feel like, the guitar's held really good tune, no issues, and the tuners themselves have remained tight. With that said, I would temper my enthusiasm a little bit because the reality is these don't feel like Grover tuners. They just don't. They don't have the same weight and feel and texture. You can tell that it's not a high quality tuner. It is, however, a functional tuner, and that's what matters, and that's what you're paying for at $25. It feels very similar to the type of tuner you would get on a guitar that's under $500. Which brings me to my bigger point. What you should really understand is that if you have a $1,000 guitar, spend the money and get yourself some nice Grover tuners, or get, a quality tuner on those guitars. Where these tuners are awesome is if you have a budget guitar or something cheap that you're modding out and you want to have locking tuners, these are a great way to go. So far, they've worked quite well on this Goodwill Find guitar that I had. I only paid $88 for that guitar, okay? So to be able to put locking tuners on it for $25 actually kind of makes sense, and it's a nice feature to have on a cheap guitar. If you found this video helpful and you like guitar-related content, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Over the next month, I'm going to have a bunch of videos coming out over various guitar-related topics, one of which is going to be putting Geiger locking tuners from AliExpress into a Harley Benton Telecaster, and I think Geiger and Kaynes might actually be the same product, just rebranded, but we're going to find that out coming up. And if you're curious about that Harley Benton guitar that I'm going to be putting those into, be sure to check out this video right here. As always, thanks for watching.